guys, welcome to the channel. Today's video, we'll be covering the brand new updated tier list and reverse 1999. But before I get started on the video, make sure you guys comment, like, and subscribe, and also turn on post notification bells so that you guys can always stay tuned as to when I post new videos. I'd really appreciate it. And if you guys are new here on the channel, I have a Discord server, so if you guys have any questions regarding reverse 1999 and other games such as Tower of God New World, you can join the server by going to my channel description. You see the server link there, and I'll also post a server link in the comment section down below. And if you guys are also interested in viewer summons, you can apply by going to my Discord server, and you can message me personally and you could get the process started. But anyways, let's not waste any time. Let's hop right into the video. So a couple hours ago, I basically checked the Brightwind tier list, and there's been a couple changes in this tier list. So right now I'm looking at the global. There's basically three categories of this tier list. There's the global 1.1, and what that means is that basically this tier list is solely around version 1.1. And there's a CN tier list where, you know, there's basically a Chinese version tier list for the Chinese server, because the Chinese server was out way before global got released. And then for overall basically means like basically all the characters in the tier, like in their own specific tier based off of their kit, but not in like a specific version, because for global 1.1 this is based off of just 1.1, and overall is basically just, you know, overall how the characters are overall. So I feel like overall is way more important, but we're going to cover global 1.1 and we're going to cover overall. So for global 1.1, right now these are the top characters in the meta right now. So as you guys can see, Melania is literally up there. She's in S tier, which is really good. Eternity, she's in S tier as well, and Centurion S tier as well. So pretty much like the tier list up here, like for the S tier, it kind of changed because there were a lot of characters in S tier, and there were also a lot of characters in the survival rank in this category. But the biggest change is that DK is now lowered to A tier, and you also have other characters such as Charlie. She's lowered down to A tier, and you also have characters such as Voyager, who was also lowered down to A tier. So you guys can basically see a lot of characters are being lowered down in the tier list just for this version though, for 1.1. And Lilia, I'm pretty sure Lilia, she was around like B tier, or yeah, I think she was around like B tier or A tier, I forgot, but she was pretty low on the tier list, but she's pretty up right now, which is really solid. And as you guys can see for Sotheby was around like as you guys can see, she's in B tier. At first, I think Sotheby was around C tier, I forgot, but Sotheby was pretty down on the list. And Sweetheart was also pretty down on the list as well. So there's a lot of characters who have been, you know, basically decreased, like they've been lowered down on the tier list and also increased on the tier list. Now I'll say like the biggest changes in my opinion are Baby Blue, because in my opinion I feel like Baby Blue is a really solid unit. You guys see me talk about Baby Blue a lot. I feel like Baby Blue is a really underrated character, and I feel like the best spot for her would definitely be A tier. In my opinion, I feel like B tier is not the best spot for her. Like putting her in B tier basically means putting her in the same rank as X, and I feel like Baby Blue, she has way more value than X, because X, the only good thing about X is the fact that he's able to decrease moxie from the enemy. That's pretty much it. But Baby Blue, she's able to provide defense shred, and she's able to provide mental defense shred as well, which allows her to be a really good support unit for mental DPS characters. So I feel like Baby Blue is definitely A tier. She's not S tier, but she's definitely A tier in my opinion, because she's a really solid unit in terms of support and being able to CC enemy units, because her ultimate, if you have a debuff on enemies, she can basically make them go to sleep and they can't attack at all. But of course some enemies are immune to that, but overall really good character in my opinion. And I'll say other characters such as Click. It seems like Click, he's going to be placed in like the C tier later on in the future, which is really sad unfortunately, but I saw it coming, because to be honest, I think Click's like his kit overall, it's not that bad, but there's just other units that can do way more than Click, because for his ultimate he deals damage, but I feel like Lin's cap is kind of lackluster, because it says when the caster is attacked by reality damage taken reduction plus 50%. I feel like that's just really not unique as his ultimate. Like, of course, you know, you're taking less damage, but I feel like if it was a damage bonus, that would have been way better. So that's my take on Click. But why did they have to put this on the bottom of the screen? Like, they're doing me dirty right now. Matilda, yes, Matilda was also lowered on a tier list. At first, Matilda was literally like, I think she was around like B tier. Yeah, I think she was around like B tier. She got lowered down to C tier, which is honestly pretty sad in my opinion. But yeah, overall, these characters, they're really solid. Diggers, A tier. Now, Diggers is going to be the next phase of the update. He's going to be the next phase with Pickles. I feel like Diggers, I'm definitely going to try him out. He looks like a pretty solid unit overall. Like, let's go ahead and look at his kit. Basically, he has Nightmare as well. Nightmare, like, basically, I'm pretty sure Baby Blue, she has Nightmare. So he's able to do the same thing as Baby Blue. And he's also able to inflict weakness. Basically, weakness decreases the amount of damage the enemy can do. As you guys can see, it says damage bonus negative 25% and negative 1 stacked after trigger. So he's basically like a debuffing unit, and he also reduces moxie from the enemy, because it says when the round ends, in like, he could basically decrease the enemy's moxie. And then when we look at his insights, when entering the battle, gives the caster max HP times 33%, shield to Diggers for 3 rounds. So he also gets a shield when the round starts. So overall, I feel like Diggers is he's an all-around unit. He's really good in terms of, like, you know, debuffing the enemy. He's good at control. He's just really solid overall. And I'll say one character that I've seen that's been going up in the tier list overall is Druvis. I feel like Druvis has a lot of potential for sure. Like, the fact that she has Petrify, I feel like Petrify is definitely going to be like a really good, like, it's going to be a really good debuff to use against certain enemies. Like, it's going to be a really good debuff overall, because you can basically prevent the enemy from attacking, and I feel like that's really good. And then the more we look at her arcane skills, deals 300% mental damage and inflicts Petrify for 2 rounds. Basically, you want to put Druvis in like a Petrified team. I'm pretty sure like a good unit with Druvis is, if I go down here, yeah, Satsuki. Satsuki is a really good Petrify unit that you want to use. So pairing her up with Druvis wouldn't be a bad team overall. So these characters, they're really good. And I feel like, in my opinion, overall, Baby Blue should definitely be boosted up in this tier list. Regulus, I feel like Regulus, ever since Melania came out, I feel like Regulus has she has a lot of potential because of Melania. Because Melania, she can steal Moxie, and Regulus can also do the same thing as well. Like, if we look at her kit, she inflicts right and roll, dodges any non-ultimate attacks, dispels the effect after the caster takes action. And as you guys can see, Mass Attack deals 150% mental damage to 2 enemies when the caster scores a critical hit, Moxie -1 for the target. So she can also reduce the enemy's Moxie, almost similar to Melania. But the best thing about Melania is that she's able to steal Moxie, and she's also able to gain Moxie. So these two units paired up together, really solid. And if we look at a Knight, now I'm going to talk about a Knight when we look at the overall tier list, but I feel like a Knight is definitely going to be good later on in the end game. But overall, a Knight is really one of the best DPSs in the game because of his damage. Of course, the biggest negative, like the biggest drawback, is the fact that you have to get rid of the enemy in order for him to get that huge damage bonus, in order for him to apply the damage bonus to your team. But other than that, his damage is really solid. So I'll say a Knight, really good character. Now let's go ahead and move to the overall tier list. So as you guys can see in the overall tier list, you have a lot of these units that were boosted up to the S tier. Balloon Party, she went from A tier to S tier. And then you see Sotheby went from B tier to A tier. And DK, it seems like DK, she's going to stay in A tier. Like, I feel like DK overall, if I were to create a tier list right now, I would definitely put DK in A tier. Actually, no, I would put her in S tier until Tooth Fairy comes out. Because I feel like DK, as a 5-star unit, the fact that she's able to heal your team, she's able to do damage, and she's able to have an invincibility when she does her ultimate, I feel like that's absolutely insane. And she also has true damage in her kit as well. So overall, I feel like DK, I'm not putting her in the same rank as Tooth Fairy, of course, and Medicine Pocket. Medicine Pocket is just overall a busted healer in the game. But as a 5-star unit, the fact that she requires low, like, it's really easy to get 5-star units, and you literally get her for free the first 8 days. So it's like DK, she's definitely a good unit to use. So I feel like A tier is definitely a good spot for her for sure. Really good spot for her. And then for Sotheby, like I said, Sotheby, if you don't have Chang Ling, I feel like Sotheby is definitely gonna be kind of mid. But once you have Chang Ling, like you pair her up with Chang Ling, Sotheby is gonna be absolutely insane because of the poison damage. It's gonna be really, really good. So overall, I feel like this tier list is really accurate. Some parts of it are accurate in my opinion. I feel like the parts with DK are accurate. Beacorn Bloom definitely accurate. Ann Lee staying in S tier is just overall accurate. Like the fact that she's able to give your teammates incantations is just insane. Like the fact that she's able to increase their incantation, make their arcane skills stronger, and she's able to buff up everybody on your team regardless of, you know, which damage type they are. Like for example, if a unit is mental, or I forgot the other one, but if the unit is mental, has a mental damage type, she can still buff up that unit because it just says mass buff damage dealt plus 20% and damage taken negative 20% for all allies lasting 2 rounds. So it doesn't matter which damage type you are, she'll buff up everybody. And the fact that she also has daze, which means cannot act, is crazy. Overall, Ann Lee, if you pick up this unit, like honestly, if you're summoning for like a 6-star Arcanist, for example Melania, and then you lose the 50-50 to Ann Lee, I would honestly take an Ann Lee. Taking an Ann Lee if you lose 50-50 is a huge win because she's just absolutely busted overall. So overall, that's pretty much the tier list. There's a lot of other characters I also want to talk about. For example, Soneto. I feel like Soneto's she's definitely a powerful character because she's like the beginner character. You get her for free, and you also get 4 portraits, which is really, really good. So Soneto, also a really good unit. I'm literally using her right now, and she's absolutely carrying. Her ultimate damage, her like the ability she has to basically silence the enemy and they can't use their attacks, and she also buffs up my team. She's a really solid unit overall. Eternity, I'm definitely going to use Eternity later on. Right now I'm mostly using Soneto, DK, and Baby Blue, but Eternity, I'm definitely going to use her because Eternity, she's that type of character where you can literally solo content with her. Like she can basically solo everything because she's able to heal herself and she does good damage. So Eternity is definitely one of the best units to use in terms of, you know, soloing a lot of content. And with Voyager, I feel like Voyager, also a solid unit, good damage. She has crit resist, and she also has buffs where she can deal Genesis damage to the attacker, and when a caster's attack, damage taken reduction plus 25%. So she's a really good unit in terms of survivability. So Voyager will also be a good unit to pick up if you lose 50-50. So really good units overall. Tanat is also a good unit. The fact that she can provide shield to your team, which basically improves your survivability. I have Tanat right now, and she's doing really well. So Tanat, really good unit to use. Yeah, that's basically my take on this tier list. This tier list overall really good. They changed a lot. Like they literally changed this tier list a lot. At first, a lot of characters were in S tier. A Knight used to be in A tier, and now he's in S tier in the overall, which is really, really good because later on in the end game, I feel like a Knight is going to be absolutely cracked, especially when he gets like a side cube that benefits him a lot. So a Knight definitely a good unit. And Centurion, I feel like Centurion, she's solid in terms of damage, but other than that, the only thing that's going well for her is damage. That's the only thing that's going well for her. So Centurion is also not a bad unit to pick up. But yeah, that's my take on the tier list. Put your thoughts down below in the comment section of what you guys think. Do you guys agree with this tier list or not? I want to see y'all's opinions in the comment section down below. But anyways, I'll be leaving the video at that. Make sure you guys comment, like, and subscribe. I appreciate you all for watching this video, and I'll be catching you guys on the next one. Peace.